Hello and welcome back to my channel. If you're new, welcome. Today we are talking about a fanfiction called Dead Doesn't Mean Gone. Details about this fanfiction will be in the description below. This fic centers around Jason and him kind of going off on his own path and his own way with Danny, baby Danny, of course, because what it was is he was spiraling again of basically everyone in the Bat family kind of always holding him at arm's length and looking at him as suspicion, right? And he's like, and Damien doesn't really hold back anyway. He's kind of always saying, he's kind of always kind of running his mouth about how he's not really wanted there. It's like, he's like the black sheep of the family, basically. And he knows, like, to an extent, things wouldn't have, like, things aren't going to be the same. He died, he came back angry, and the pits affect him. So he knows obviously things aren't going to be the same, but it does, it's different of like Bruce always, the first thing, like something goes wrong, someone's dead, immediately look at Jason. Just like, no, at Jason. It's like, even though he could be like on the other side of the city, it had nothing to do with it. And, it's like, even with like Dick, it's like, to cover it with like a forced smile or like stuff making kind of jokes to like fill the awkward silence or like haha, yeah, but it's like very uncomfortable like whenever like he's like in the room clearly. And so it's him spiraling of how he wants that family connection, he wants to belong, but he clearly doesn't. And that's where he starts hearing the voice. Now, of course, this is Lady Gotham. He doesn't know this though. This is Gotham, and she's like talking to him of like, I can give you a family. It's like I'll give you, what they could never give you. And he like, of course, he's spiraling. Thinks he's like hallucinating. He thinks he's like losing it. So he's like, but he does say yes anyway because he's like, well, it's hallucination, whatever. It's like, not really gonna do anything. Me saying yes isn't gonna do anything, you know. And so for a few seconds, nothing happens until he gets up. He's like, okay, I gotta get on my day. And he's immediately in such pain. And he kind of recognizes like it's the pits, like something's happening to him, but he passes out. He comes to and he's just like on the floor and he sees the pits, right? They're like pulsing. Clearly it's like clawed out of him. And he sees in the middle of it is a baby. Black hair, blue eyes. Oh, and that's where the voice tells him like this is Danny. It's like, and the voice like because this is Gotham, she sees him as her son, and she himself is like, take care of him, my son. Like this is Danny. It's like okay, and then the pits kind of because they're just like it's just ectoplasm. He doesn't know that, right? So it gets sucked into absorbed into Danny, and he freaks out because he's like that was just in me. And like honestly, him knowing the pits being the only thing he knows, he's like, this is going to hurt my baby, like this is gonna hurt my child. And through all this, he's still reeling from the fact that like, oh my god, this is all real. I have a kid now. What is even happening anymore? He's still really like all of this just happened. And so he eventually goes to sleep because Gotham tells it like, I'll keep watch. And when he wakes up, he's like, yep, it happened. This wasn't a dream. But this is also where he makes the decision of like, I need to leave because he doesn't want to raise his son with the Joker still around, knowing that the Joker at any point could get his hands on Danny terrifies him. So he's like, I need to leave. I need to go. So, and he's like thinking, it's like, he's got to tell his goons, obviously. It's like, I'm sure they'll understand, like, but he's like, he just has to leave. He can't raise Danny knowing, and like, he even thinks about it, it's like, he could go back to killing, like just killing off the rogues, but then that would get, the bats on his tail, and then they find Danny, and then no doubt they would take Danny from him. So Danny not just leave, and then but he doesn't know where to go, obviously, because the point's to leave and then stay off the Bat's radar. But he doesn't know where to go, where that would happen till, the voice comes back. Lady Gotham, she's like, I know where you can go, a place. And I like how he even thinks about it for a bit too. Like his first reaction when he woke up anyway was that, oh my god, all this is real. But also that voice that comforted him the entire time and told him how much it loved him and referred to him as like her son. It's like it hit him because like, oh my god, someone really does care for me. Someone really does love me. And now obviously in this moment where he's like, I need a place to go, and Gotham's like, I know a place where you can go. He even thinks about it for a second where he's like, if this was a Bruce, he'd probably be suspicious. I mean, first off, an entity that's clearly powerful enough to give a child from the pits. And now you're telling me, like, I know where to go. He'd be suspicious. But this isn't Bruce, so he doesn't really care. He's like, it's already proven himself. It's already proven itself to him. So he's like, okay, where? He's like, okay, pack your things. 2 days from now, it's like, you'll be there, right? She'll send someone. And so he does. He does pack his things. He's like, I should probably bring the mattress. Like, just like bring everything. Because like, they don't really know where they're going. Has furniture, so okay. But he does tell his goons. Like, first off, he shows up with Danny. And they're like, oh my god, a baby. He's like, did you kidnap a kid? And they're like, he wouldn't kidnap someone. It's very much like they were more of like a family to him than like his actual, like what they were supposedly the Bats, with how good the relationship is between all of them. And so, but when he does eventually basically tell them, it's like, I'm leaving for my son, like, they're not angry, they're not anything, they're actually very supportive. They're like, it's about time. Because they're like, anyone could see that you were miserable here. It's like, it just wasn't doing you good. Like, as much as you love Crime Alley, it's like, it just wasn't doing you any good. Like, and now you have a kid to think about, right? This isn't just about you, right? You have a whole child to raise and take care of now. And you don't really need the Bat's interference. So they're like, lots of goodbyes and everything where they'll take care of Crime Alley while he's, off. But he does promise, like, he'll keep in contact and he'll share plenty of pictures of Danny while he's gone. Eventually the time does come for Jason, for things to be, like, everything's set in place, everything's packed, and it's, like, time to go. And he's, like, pacing, like, 'cause he's really anxious. And Danny picks up on this. So he, like, this is, like, the second time that he's ever talked to him. Not, like, talk, but, like, chirped to him. And Jason still doesn't know what that is, but he can also respond, because it's very emotion-based. Still no idea what it is, though. But he sees that he's anxious, like, oh, and he's asking, like we're unsafe. It's like, no, I'm just, very anxious. Like, it's fine. Like, he's reassuring him. Because this is the second time he's done it. The first time was in the bathroom, right? When he had just gotten there. And Danny had looked at him. And he's like, safe? Just asking, like, safe? It's like, he didn't know what it was, but didn't question it. Just going with it. He's like, but responded, like, yes, safe. And that's all Danny know. And he's like, all right, I'll take a nap. He does not care. But then Portal shows up, and out steps Agatha. Agatha is over. She's like, oh, my wife said that, and this is where Jason discovers that the voice that's speaking to him refers to him loving, like, and called out to him lovingly, and like first time as her son is Lady Gotham, right? Because Agatha is married to her, and she's like, oh, my wife, like, oh, you're, like, my wife said about this, and like, oh, you're her favorite. So, and at first Jason, he hesitates a little bit because he's like, Lady Gotham says, like, this will be the last time that I'll contact you, at least for like a while, because I imagine like sometime in the future, but it'll be last time. And Jason hesitates because like, but because like this is, you know, like a parental figure. Like first person is like they love him unconditionally, but Gotham, she's not having it. She's not caring. She's like, no, don't. Like you you go to that portal to that, I shall say village, town, to the town that I'm taking you to. Because even though it's probably gonna be a while until they talk again, it's still better because like, she sees like he's not happy within like her borders. And all she wants is for him to be happy. It's why she gave him Danny in the first place. All right, which still don't know the backstory of that, but we're kind of, it's like slowly piecing things together along the way. So they end up going there, and Agatha even says like, "Oh yeah, this town, it's like it's so hidden. Basically, no one in the world knows it exists." It's like, oh, perfect for hiding from the bats, right? And like, oh, they're very kind to witches. A little bit of a ghost problem, but it's fine. It's like, what does that even mean? And he doesn't. And it's like Jason doesn't know, like, because they had the house already all cleared, right? All he needs is just the furniture. So I guess he was right and like bringing some of it with him, but. So, but he doesn't have a crib. He doesn't have any of that. And he meets his neighbors. And like, oh my god, they're so excited. It's like, oh, Agatha, brought you here with us. Like, oh, it's like not often. And like, they just like, they drop it so casually. Of like, no, like, oh yeah, it's every day. Get brought to us by portal. And they're like, oh, okay. So they're really casual. Just like knowing, like, oh yeah, she's a witch. Whatever. Like, don't even care. No one bats an eye to anything in this town. And Jason's like overwhelmed with this kindness too, of how they're offering like, oh, you look so, because Jason was very depressed for a while. He hadn't been taking very good care of himself, right? Especially with eating. And he's like, ooh, is it that noticeable that it's like I haven't eaten in a while? It's like kind of, yeah. But um but he's so overwhelmed with their kindness and how they're willing to help him out with like pretty much anything too. And so Jason, he's like, oh, well, what I have to do to like pay you back? And it's like, because he's almost like kind of suspicious of it, because like, at this point it's like no one just kind of gives out anything for free or like without anything in return. So it's like, what's, but and she sees this, and that's when she's like this is small town kind of, like everyone kind of relies on everyone here. I mean, I feel like you're a town that lives off the grid, basically. No one knows you exist. I mean, you could leave anytime, I would think, but it's still like, yeah, why wouldn't you rely on each other? No one in the world knows you exist. So, but, it's him getting used to it. And like the whole ghost problem thing comes up where Jason sees them. Like he sees a man and a woman just kind of arguing. And he's like, in awe, but also kind of amused by them because they're clearly like he can't hear what they're saying because they're like a little bit far away. But he sees them but they're clearly like in an argument, and then they just start throwing books at each other, and it's like clearly it's not gonna hit because I mean it just passes through, and he's like, "What the fuck is happening? What? Why are you throwing books at each other?" And the girls, they're like, "Oh, don't worry about that." They're like, oh, don't worry about that. They're just how they are. They've been, but she does mention, right? Like, oh, over the last couple of days, they have been extra, like, you know, agitated, and no one could really figure out why, right? Because before it wasn't really all that big of a deal, but then the last few days, they've been extra agitated, and no one could figure out why or what happened. But it's not like they're like it's out of control, like violent towards people, right? It's just this outburst. I mean, to them, I guess it's like it's a book fell to the ground, like and it's not until they ask him, it's like, oh, we didn't ask you your baby's name. Oh, his name's Danny. That's when they freeze. Immediately look over Jason, look at the baby, and Jason's immediately protective. It's like, why are you like looking at my baby? And that's when they look at Jason, like, oh my god, you can see us. So immediately we're like, okay, so not everyone in this town can see ghosts. Or maybe no one in this town can see them, but they're aware that they're there. But it's here, obviously, not everyone can see ghosts. So to them, which makes sense why they didn't look directly at them, they just looked at the book on the ground like, oh, that's, don't worry about it, it's the ghost. Because they can't see them. Like, they have like a vague understanding of like where they are, but like not directly. So that's why they really didn't look at them or kind of look at the situation how Jason did, which is like kind of funny because you're trying to throw books at each other. It's because they can't see them. Meanwhile, back with the goons, they're dealing with their own little thing, right? It's not even like a problem for long anyway, but Joker's dead. Someone had killed him and brutally. Good riddance. They don't even care. But of course, that's first thing. It's like, oh, Jason, he went out of line. He did this again. So they're asking the goons basically, like, where is he? Even like attacking him. So it's like, where is Jason? And Hartley, who I don't even care, is my favorite. Because they had to run him in the back, obviously, and they're asking, they're talking to Becca, who's kind of like in charge of them, right? And they had to run in with the bats. And Hartley, because they were getting agitated because they're asking all these questions. And first of all, even assuming that was Jason to begin with, but they're asking all these questions and it's annoying to them because they didn't have anything to do with it. Not even Jason or anything. And Hartley, just starts crying. Just started crying. Her just looks at him. It's like, you started crying? It's like, I'm sensitive. What does that mean? You mean like them? I mean, I guess if they were just like in your face, sure. Um, and then, but Becca looks at this. It's like, this is the perfect opportunity to like throw them off of Jason's scent, right? Of like wherever he is, like just the perfect opportunity, right? Because from how it looks, everyone's agitated, everyone's like on edge. You just breaking down, crying for no reason. It's a perfect opportunity to come up with something. And she's like, all right, we're meeting him. Like, let's go. It's like, Hartley, I need you to cry at the right time. And her like, I can't cry. Keep in mind, she said, I can't cry on command. I want you to keep that in mind. She says this. And then we get the confrontation that happens. Right. And then obviously they're like accusing Jason, but without like saying it out loud. Right. It's very blatantly pointed. Like the Joker, or not the Joker, they didn't say the Joker specifically is dead, but they're like, oh, yeah. Because like, oh, rogues are injured, dead. Yeah, we know it's the Joker. We don't need to like beat around the bush. And so they're all kind of there. And questioning because they're very clearly saying, hey, it was Jason. And Becca's like, playing up the part of like, no, it wasn't him. It's like, and I know it wasn't him. It's like, oh, well, it's like, how could you, be so sure that it wasn't him? It's like, why? Because he's dead. Which I guess it works technically to get them off his trail, but she's like, because he's dead. It's like, yep, found him. He hung himself. And they're shocked. It's like, what are you talking about? He wouldn't do that. And then Hartley just starts crying uncontrollably as soon as she said that. She's like, control yourself. Like, can we? What are you crying over? What could possibly get you to cry, sobbing uncontrollably? You just said you can't cry on command. What are you even thinking about? Is the situation that stressful for you? What's happening? But they take this, pair with Hartley like crying uncontrollably, and Becca's like a very hard person to read. So like, Black Beck, which was the point, right? Can't really read her body language, very hard person to read. So to them, they're like, this is them finding out that he's gone. Which, I mean, he is, but and they all like are in their own heads because it's one of those situations where you take for granted where Jason, like, they're thinking, oh, Jason's always going to be there. He's always, just there, right? I can do this later, make it up to later, whatever, right? And now he's gone, or, well, okay, to them permanently gone, they can't do any of that. And so now they're thinking about, all their past interactions and what they could have done better, really, and how they could have treated him differently. So it wouldn't have led up to, him being gone. Back with Jason, right, and the others, we're over here shopping, and he's looking wary at them though. But and he does look at them. And he's like, "You can't see them." It's like, nope, not at all. Can't see them, but you can, which is interesting. It's like, okay, it's like, so they can't see the ghosts, but so like a select few can. Great. They continue on shopping, and they eventually get things for Danny, and he makes his way back. He's at home. At this point, again, Jason, I nobody ever really questioned. And he's like finally kind of thinking about it. It's like, I should probably question why. It's like through the bond of like, it's not like full sentences that Danny's like speaking to him. It's more just like soft, like it's just like simple words of hungry, safe, like oh anxious, like So it's not like full sentence, but it's enough to get across of like what he's feeling through the bond and like the emotions. Anyway, the ghosts are there. Shocking. They apologize though. They're like, we're sorry. We kind of scared you there for a second. And this is where he just gets info down, right? Because he's like, we, didn't expect to see another half. What? He's like, oh, you don't know who you are. It's like, you and your kid, you're half dead. And he's like, immediately kind of going into crisis because he's like, when did Danny die? What are we talking about? But they're like quick to reassure him, like, no, he's just been like that for so long. We know him. But it's like, he was literally just born like a couple days ago. What are you talking about? It's like, and this is where the info dump happens. Of like, well, no, we knew him when he was like 15, and see, back in this other universe, he's the king, and he was actually from this other universe, and basically what happened, he went missing. No one knew where he was. None of the ghosts. Everything got thrown into chaos. And because, Danny's gone, the GIW decided just like, oh, it's too dangerous to ghost from around. Decided to nuke the entire town. What the so and because, they're not having a king and Danny's not there, he's a really good king. They already liked him and they couldn't find him. The veil has kind of been broken, so they've all just been roaming around different universes to see if they can find Danny. And clearly they have. And Jason's like, what did you just tell me? Like, my child who was actually a 15-year-old and now reborn through me in the pits is like the king, and what? Not that it makes him look at him any different, because he's like literally a baby right now. So he's like protective over him. He's like, this is still my son. So no, he's not, because they're, he's like, she's like quick to jump the gun to be like, oh, well, now that he's back, you become king. And then the other one's quick to like, no, he's literally a baby. And also, take his feelings in consideration, especially since they all knew that Danny in the first place didn't really want to be king. It's just horror. He didn't want to. That was kind of just more, it happened really by accident. And Jason even looks at it like he's not letting, like, this is a big thing to place on his kid's shoulders. Like, he's not doing that. And so they look at Jason. It's like, what about you? You become king. And he's like, what? And so they're really hopeful, but they give him time to think about it. It's like, yeah, it's like, to help us, like, you really wouldn't have to do that much. I mean, you don't have to go to Ghost Zone for certain important things, but other than that, it's like, whatever. So, but they leave him to think about it. And so that night, like, as he lays in bed, it's like the first time that he's truly at peace and he's like able to relax. No yelling, no fighting, no gunshots, no bats in his ear, nothing. He's like, oh my god, this is what peace is, right? For 5 seconds, like, especially, like, because Danny's right there by the window sleeping, and he knows peace for 5 seconds because he immediately avoids by his bed. He's not even like shocked. He's like, all right, sure. He's like, ghost, what's next? What's happening next? He's not even like, alarmed. He's just like, all right, okay. And it's Rio, or she goes, that's her name, but also, she introduces herself. She's like, you may also know me as Death. He recognized her instantly. It's like, you're Death. It's like, oh my god, you're Death. And this is the person who throughout everything has loved and cared for him, just like Gotham. But, and so this is where she kind of fills in the gaps a bit more of what happened with Danny. Danny was fully killed because his parents experienced. So he's fully killed, and so she took his soul, and then she looked at Jason, who she has soft spots for. And she's like, "This is basically my son." I can't, use the pits in him to make Danny's body again, right? And it essentially kind of saved both of them, right? Because Jason was also on, Danny was dead, and Jason was gonna, himself. Actually, he was really gonna do it. And so the save gave him a new purpose. And of course, Jason's kind of worried. He doesn't understand clearly all of it explained, other than the pits are just corrupted ectoplasm from Danny's universe. So he doesn't understand it completely, but he knows enough that it's okay, corrupted doesn't sound great. So he's a bit worried till he's reassured. It's no, it's fine. Danny's basically purified it. It's not really anything to him. So it's completely fine. And then we find out Rio lives in that town. Of course she does. With her wife. Oh yeah, I forgot we were introduced to her. So it's oh yeah, that was her. So it's oh, come over for dinner, basically. And to meet, because again, she considers him her son. It's meet your little brother. He's heard all about you, and he wants to meet you. He's always wanted to meet you, basically. It's he's 11 or something. It's Billy's always wanted to meet you. It's what's happening right now? And so Jason does eventually kind of get used to it. About the town and how no one's expecting anything from you. Or oh, I did this for you, now for a favor, right? There's no cost. It's a town you all live in. It's fine. You're all kind of pitching in together. So when he does go over, that's where he does meet Billy. And Billy is also not from that universe. He's from a different universe, or he was a Wiccan there. His mom went crazy. Terrible. So he's adopted. That's how we find out. And looking at the walls, it's plenty of pictures of Billy, him growing up, but then there are also Jason. Of course, they're not really pictures, they're just paintings. And Billy explains, oh, well, you weren't really here for any pictures, but she always, she wanted something of you, so she painted you. And they're all different moments of his life, right? Some of him as a kid, when he, when he was younger and he had blue eyes, before the pits, and some after, really showing how much love and care she put into paintings. And also, she really does mean what she said, and it's reinforced that she really does love him and has continued to love him throughout basically every phase of his life, even in this new one. That none of that is a lie. The rug's not gonna be pulled out from under him. She really does love and care for him. They do have another daughter, Rachel. It's oh, she's coming over. Listen, I might not. I might not. I was well, okay, I'm not gonna lie. When I first heard Billy, I'm Billy Batson, and then I heard the Wiccan thing. I'm oh no, okay, never mind then. But the same thing when I heard Rachel. I'm oh yeah, I daughter Rachel. I was Raven, and I was right. Shut up. I was right, because they meet each other, and they're Raven. It's oh my god, Jason. And she's kind of happy to see him, right? And he's kind of a little bit. She's happy to see him. And he's shocked. It's like, "Are you happy to see me?" She's like, "Oh my god!" Like, does Dick know? And it's like, what are you talking about? It's like, I've been like, they didn't tell you I've been alive like for like the last 6 years. And so this is when, Rachel's like, what like, what are you talking about? Like, and they just never told anyone, like, what are you talking about? And it's like he kind of tries to still, where he's explaining to him, it's like, well, I came back different, I did some terrible things, like I killed some people, all this. It's like he's still trying to be like, well, it wasn't really completely their fault. Like, I'm not the same person I was, right? Like, before he died. And to Rachel, Raven does not care. Raven does not care. She's like, I mean, do those people deserve to die? It's like, oh yeah, no, definitely. Like, he still is like, I don't care. Yeah, they deserve. It's like, okay then. She's like, I have never cared. And she's like, but they do bond over the facts. Like, I think it's interesting. Like, you're adopted by death, basically, and you have a younger sibling. It's like we're all just siblings now, all of us, and that death somehow took. How did that even work? Took him. I mean, death lives there in that town with them, but it's like death just casually just going around adopting kids, even from different universes. Oh, you're my kid now. What just happened? Okay. I mean, I guess we've got nothing better to do, sure, go off, right? But this is when Jason does, say to her, it's like, I have a new purpose now. Because she figures out, like, she's like, she wants to talk, she wants to confront Dick on it. He's like, don't. Because, she puts together, oh, you're hiding. It's like, yeah. It's like, and, they talk about, like, his new sense of purpose and how because he was, again, going to off himself, but then he was given Danny. And so this is where she does end up meeting Danny, like his new purpose. And it's more like a reunion for all of them, or for both of them, I should say, of them just meeting each other. Because she thought, oh my god, you're alive. And then quickly turned to, oh, you've been alive. You just didn't tell me. That's real nice. Like, oh, a little awkward with that. Anyway, that's all I have for today. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, bye!